Team Photographer here, and today I'm going to look at why I only shoot in RAW mode. Now if you've seen my other videos, welcome back. If you haven't been on the channel before, welcome. For anyone who hasn't, please like, comment and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. But we'll get straight into this. So the reason why I shoot in RAW is for pictures like this. If I'd have shot this in JPEG, there's nothing really I could do with this picture, but with this particular picture, as you'll see from the edit we're going to do, there's actually a decent picture in here. So just take you to the actual picture without any crop or anything, because I've already put a crop on this. So what I got straight out of camera was the following. So that's what I got. When you look at it, you think, yeah, there's nothing there. Move on to the next one. But with a little bit of work, we can actually make this one look pretty good, and it's probably one of the clearest pictures I took the whole day. So the first thing was to crop it so that we get something that we like. So obviously there was too much negative space in this one, so we'll just crop that. I think I like that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start separating the background and the sky. Sorry, the sky and the subject, which is the plane. So I'm just going to do that for mask. So just go to masks and I'm going to click on subject. And I'm just going to check to make sure that I'm happy with what I've got. Anyone who's seen my videos before, you know I like to get into these areas here and just clean them up a little bit. So I'm just going to subtract, select object and just get in there and just clear up that little bit there. I find in these V-shaped areas, that's usually where I find the masking doesn't get it 100% right. Some people might not think it makes much difference really, but I like to do it. I think if you're going to take the time to edit the photo, get in there and edit it properly down to the small details. Alright, so that's just taking a little bit of the plane away, so I'm just going to come back at that one just with the brush. Just filling a little bit it took away. Alright, move around the rest of the plane just to make sure we're happy with what we've got. Could probably get rid of a little bit there as well. Subtract, select object again. And just going to get rid of that little bit there and a little bit just in here as well. Alright, just check the rest of the plane. Okay, pretty happy with that. Just want to get rid of this little bit here and here, just because when I do the sky, if I don't get rid of these bits now, they're going to stand out a little bit, because the rest of this will be picked up in the sky. And so there'll be a difference that I'm not going to want. So I'll just quickly go in and just take those little bits out. pretty happy with that now, I think. Well, just this little bit at the front. You can see that it's picked up a bit that it shouldn't have. Just this bit here. But it's also missed a little bit that it should have picked up. So I'm going to just go in and make sure it gets that as well. Okay, I think we're good now. So once I've done the subject and got that mask, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the three dots here and I'm going to duplicate and invert that mask. And what that will do is it will select the sky for me. Alright, and the sky is where I'm going to start. So let's start working on it. First thing I'm going to want to do is come down to dehaze here. Let's bring out some of that cloud. And I'm just going to want to bring that exposure up a bit. And I'm just going to play with the sliders here to see what I get. You just move them around till you get a sky that you're happy with. Okay, I think we're pretty good there. So I'll close that off and I'll come back to the subject, the aircraft. And this is where you're going to see that we've actually got a much better picture here than what you can see. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the shadows. And you can see already just how clear this shot actually is. Bring the exposure up. You can see it's so clear we can see the pilot and the inside of the plane quite clear. The kangaroos nice and clear. The writing's pretty clear. It was just hiding behind that darkness. As I said, if this is a JPEG, there's no way I can bring out any of the stuff that I'm bringing out here. Right, so we're seeing that we've actually got a picture here. Let's get a bit of clarity on it, provide a bit of texture. You can see if I zoom in, it's a bit grainy, but we'll take care of that a little bit later. But you can see this, quite a clear picture there. Right, so now we've brought out the plane, we've done something with the sky, just so you can see where we've come from. We've already taken it from the picture on the left to that one on the right, and I'm already much happier with this picture. Now it's just a matter of doing some global adjustments. Just play with your sliders until you get something that you like. Just be careful you're not clipping the whites here. You can actually just push away from there. And it really is just playing with the sliders until you get something that you're happy with. Everyone will edit slightly differently, so you're just looking for what looks good to you. Might just bring up the temperature a little bit on that one. Yeah, I think that looks much better now. You could play with the tone curve. I don't play with the tone curve a great deal, It's not something that I normally really play with. I know that a lot of other editors do, and yeah, it's got its place, but it's just not something that I play around with a lot. But I think that's probably not too bad. Could play with the colour mixer too. Very dull grey colours here, so I'm not going to really play too much with that, but I will go with the colour grading. And I'll look at the midtones and just work that till I get something that I like. Same with the shadows. And the highlights. Alright, so I'll move into the detail now. I'm going to put a mask on here. I don't want to sharpen the whole picture, but I do want to sharpen parts of it. So if I hold the Option key, I think it's the Alt key on a Windows machine, and drag that masking slider around, you can see that I am getting those white lines. They're the bits that are going to be sharpened. So if I leave it without the masking, or just a little bit, all those bits are going to be sharpened. So you can see all that grain in the background and on a plane, that would all be sharpened and made worse. So what I'm going to do is just keep sliding until I get what I actually want to sharpen, and then I'll just sharpen that a little bit, not a great deal. And what I will do is I will denoise this. So you can see at the moment it's a bit noisy. Just go into denoise, and you can see it's taking out a lot of that graininess. Now, I usually have it around the 50 mark. Some people like it less. I think 50 is pretty good. It doesn't get too plasticky look if I do it at 50. And because I've done that denoise, is now in my mask, there's an update to be done. So that little yellow icon here, it's normally grey. It goes yellow when there's something to do. So if you just click on that, you can see it's going to make some changes to the masking. So you can just hit update. And once it's finished, if you know it's hasn't really done anything that you don't like, just leave that so it's updated. There are occasions when I roll that back just because it does something in the picture that I don't want. Usually when I'm looking at people, it'll put part of a person back, and it does some strange things at times. Lens correction should already be on. It is. If it's not, you can go in here and you can move things like chromatic aberration. You can enable profile corrections for lenses and that in that section there. Then I'm just going to go to effects and just see if a vignette is going to enhance this at all. I don't mind it, don't mind the vignette. And then into calibration, just to play with the colors a little bit, get something that works for this particular plane. There's not a lot of color here, but you can see it sort of goes into the blues a little bit, or the greys, depending on which way I go with the sliders. I think that looks pretty good there. And yeah, that's just a very basic edit, but you can see this is the reason that I shoot in RAW. We've taken this picture, which if I hadn't shot in RAW, there would be no details to bring out. Wouldn't be able to bring up the highlights, or bring up the shadows, make those adjustments that we did to end up with this particular picture. So now that that's been done, I'll do my usual, which is to export that to Photoshop. That was taken at Richmond, so RAAF Base Richmond Airshow. For anyone who's been on my videos before, normally I put the date as well. Actually, I can remember the date. It was the 27th of September. And I just do that so that there's a record of when the photo was taken. I just make sure that I've got the quality right up to when I do this. So there's the settings I use. And then I just export that over to Photoshop. And again, for anybody who has watched my videos, you know I'm not really bringing it over to do any editing in Photoshop. I'm literally bringing it over so I can put my logo on. And so we'll just drop the logo on. And I'll save that. So I've saved a PSD version of it. Again, that way I can come back at a later time and continue working on it if I've got the PSD. I can work on that in Photoshop. I've already got it obviously in Lightroom where I can work on it. But if I do want to do something in Photoshop, I can. And then I will save a low res copy just in case I want to email somebody. That can send the email a lot easier than a larger file. Sometimes the email providers don't allow large files to be sent, so it's just easier to have that small one. And then I will save the full quality one. And again, anyone who's been here before will know that if we exceed 20 megabytes, I'll actually save a third medium. And the reason for that is some of the places that I do upload my stuff requires the file size to be less than 20. Alright, so as I was saying before, that's the reason that I shoot in RAW. The amount of information I can bring out, the amount of detail I can bring out in some pictures just because it's been shot in RAW as opposed to JPEG just means it's worthwhile. I get memory cards that are large enough to let me shoot, you know, a few thousand pictures, so in RAW mode, so there's really no reason why I would shoot in JPEG really. Anyway, if you like that, please like, comment, subscribe. Will certainly help the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.